I am having a bit of a strange postmodern moment here.
Is that agreeable?
Oh, yes.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 screen adaptations inspired by Jane Austen.
That. Did you write that?
That's like a famous quote.
From where?
Cliff's Notes.
Oh.
I know you're going to be doing better,
For this list, we'll be looking at the best movies, TV shows, and other media inspired by the beloved author and her novels. Which Austen retellings do you ardently admire and love? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Lost in Austen. This fanfiction-esque fantasy series follows Amanda Price, a modern girl with an unsatisfactory love life who walks through an odd door in her bathroom and finds herself in her favorite novel.
You will forgive me for observing that the arrangement seems to have a flaw. Oh dear, are you quite well?
I do feel a bit unusual.
Attempting to navigate the plot of Pride and Prejudice without Elizabeth Bennet proves difficult and chaos ensues. It's all very silly and does strike some wrong notes. Surely an Austen fan would have a better grasp on Regency social mores.
Oh, gosh. Miss Price,
Mr. Bingley,
how can I begin?
you and I, we come from very different worlds.
Overall, though, it's anarchic fun and worth watching if only for the casting and the set pieces. Gemma Arterton and Alex Kingston are great as Lizzie and Mrs. Bennet, although Wickham might be the highlight of this retelling. Hugh Bonneville's Mr. Bennet attempting to duel with Bingley also adds good value. Number 9. The Jane Austen Book Club. Adapted from the novel by Karen Joy Fowler, the Jane Austen Book Club is a real treat for Austen fans. It follows 5 lifelong Janeites and 1 clueless newbie, who all start an all Jane Austen all the time book club.
6 books, 5 people. We skipped Northanger Abbey.
Definitely.
And miss out on Mr. Tilney?
No, you're right.
He's such a flirt.
We don't have to do all 6 books, do we?
Doing all 6 novels is the raison d'etre of the book club.
At each meeting, they discuss a different book, and echoes of the story begin to appear in their own lives. There's a brilliant cast, too. Hugh Dancy charms as Grigg, who's never read a word of Austen at first, but makes up for it with a lot of enthusiasm.
Yes, if this were high school, yes, we all know Elizabeth Bennet would be most popular and that Fanny would be least.
Who's Elizabeth Bennet?
Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, well, don't give away too much because I haven't read that one yet.
Meanwhile, Emily Blunt is almost unrecognizable as Prudy, a proper teacher who contemplates an affair with a student. Come for the book club discussions, stay for a warm-hearted rom-com about friendship, families, and love.
Hey, has anyone read those Patrick O'Brien novels?
British Navy.
Yeah, Jane Austen's Navy, 1805.
Yeah, but aren't there like 20 of them?
There's more of us now.
I'm in.
Number 8. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. The concept may sound like blasphemy, but it's hard not to love Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. A genre retelling of Jane Austen's most beloved novel, it throws the Bennet sisters and their circle into a Regency world ravaged by plagues of the undead.
Zombies or no zombies, all women must think of marriage, Lizzie.
I shall never relinquish my sword for a ring.
For the right man, you would.
The right man wouldn't ask me to.
Darcy is a colonel now, and the Bennets are trained in the arts of war. But they still go about their day-to-day lives, attend balls, and engage in plenty of Jane Austen's familiar dialogue.
You withhold the advantages that you know were designed for him.
This is your opinion of me? Then I thank you for explaining it so fully.
The movie has some gorgeous clothes, and the cast is so perfect it almost makes us wish this was a traditional adaptation. But the whole zombie gimmick is loads of fun too. Though unexpected, the interweaving of 19th century romance and campy horror works surprisingly well.
I must confess, I was unaware that zombies possessed the required acuity to set such traps. Before we know it, they'll be running for Parliament.
Number 7. Becoming Jane. Did Jane Austen ever really fall in love? We'll never know for certain, but Becoming Jane imagines a heartbreaking Hollywood romance we can all get invested in for the author.
Do you love me?
Yes. But if our love destroys your family, it will destroy itself.
The movie is very loosely inspired by Austen's real life and draws on characters and scenarios that appear in her letters. The TV movie Miss Austen Regrets focuses on the author's later years. This centers instead on her time with the dashing Tom Lefroy, an Irish gentleman who the young Jane once enjoyed a flirtation with.
Your hero's very vigorous feelings caused him and everyone connected with him a great deal of trouble.
If the book has troubled you.
Oh, but an author must know trouble.
What sort of trouble? All sorts of trouble.
However little truth is in the tale, it's easy to believe that Anne Hathaway's Austen might fall head over heels for Lefroy, as portrayed by James McAvoy.
I have no money, no property. I am entirely dependent upon that bizarre old lunatic, my uncle. I cannot yet offer marriage, but you must know what I feel. Jen, I am yours. I am yours. I am yours, heart and soul.
Number 6. Austenland. Based on the book by Shannon Hale, Austenland follows a Jane Austen superfan who heads to the UK for an immersive Austen experience.
You're going to the Darcy place too?
Yes. I memorized the first 3 chapters of Pride and Prejudice when I was 13.
This frothy rom-com is unashamedly girly and totally feel-good from beginning to end. It's playful and irreverent, but never mocking. You can tell that the writers and creators love Jane Austen just as much as we do, and the cast were clearly having a whale of a time. Kerry Russell stars as the likable heroine, while J.J. Field is perfectly cast as one of her brooding potential suitors.
You're the resident Mr. Darcy. Come on. You're every girl's fantasy.
So I'm your fantasy?
You play your character very well.
The supporting cast are hilarious, and, true to form, Jennifer Coolidge steals the show in almost every scene.
I am Aphrodite, the goddess, often fickle in my large arse. Largesse.
Number 5. The Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
Who am I? I'm a 24-year-old grad student with a mountain of student loans, living at home and preparing for a career. But to my mom, the only thing that matters is that I'm single.
We've had plenty of Jane Austen movies and TV dramas, but the Lizzie Bennet Diaries was the first web series to successfully tackle the beloved author's works, winning an Emmy in the process. This take on Pride and Prejudice is told in the form of a video blog and finds numerous creative ways to translate the familiar story to the modern day.
Well, I see that you're filming again. That is exceedingly savvy of you. My VC partner, Catherine de Bourgh, always says, the key to success is content, content, and content.
The episodes, mainly narrated by Lizzie herself, are all less than 10 minutes long, but they're insanely addictive. Before you know it, you're 2 hours in, telling yourself you really will stop after the next one. And once you've consumed all of Lizzie's content, don't despair. There's still Emma approved.
I know, complicated. But in 9 words, I make your life better, and I never fail.
Number 4. Bride and Prejudice. British Indian director Gurinder Chadha took inspiration from the Bollywood movies she grew up with to bring us this joyful retelling of Pride and Prejudice set in modern-day India. Aishwarya Rai stars as Lalita Bakshi, who resides with her family in Amritsar.
If Jaya went to live in UK, we could visit her anytime.
I would hate to have my daughters be so far away.
But we have so many. One or two can grow abroad. They'll earn more. God knows they'll need to, because we can't afford to give them all decent dowries.
When she first meets Will Darcy, the culturally insensitive heir to a US hotel chain, she's unimpressed. But of course, she soon discovers that he's not as bad as all that.
I really like this place. It's not at all where I expected you'd take me.
Ah, you see? I told you misjudged me.
The movie features all the colorful characters we know so well, but it also has a lot to say in its own right. And naturally, it's jam-packed with feel-good musical numbers to get you up dancing. And for a Hindi-language Austen adaptation, check out Aisha, which is inspired by Emma. Number 3. Fire Island.
I don't know much about a good fortune, but not every single man is looking for a wife.
When writer Joel Kim Booster first visited Fire Island, he took Pride and Prejudice with him, and soon started noticing the parallels with his holiday experience. 19th century small-town life might not immediately make you think of the famous LGBTQ+ party island, but if Jane Austen novels tell us anything, it's that the human experience is universal.
Yeah, but I want the romance bullshit. Like the rom-com stuff, like kissing in the rain and standing outside my window with the boombox or confessing things in a gazebo. What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that.
Booster stars as Noah, who returns to the vacation spot with his friends annually. Moen Yang plays Howie, the Jane Bennet of the group, whose meet-cute with a sweet doctor sets things in motion. That's where uptight lawyer Will comes in. We know where this is all going, but we love to see it. A fun, diverse rom-com, Fire Island is filled with heart and laughs.
Charlie, this is your big rom-com moment, okay? You gotta do something big, something stupid.
I love you.
Oh, no, too big, too stupid. Dial it back.
Number 2, Bridget Jones's Diary. So Bridget Jones isn't exactly Lizzie Bennet, but the classic British rom-com does loosely follow the plot of Pride and Prejudice. And the 2004 sequel is inspired by Persuasion.
Friends, they spend years trying to find you a boyfriend, but the moment you get one, they instantly tell you to dump him.
Helen Fielding's era-defining 90s novel introduced us to the lovable Bridget, and the first movie cemented her in the pop culture canon. Our 30-something heroine navigates the world of workplace romance, smug marrieds, and turkey curry buffets, while being her chaotic but relatable self.
It's a truth universally acknowledged that the moment one area of your life starts going okay, another part of it falls spectacularly to pieces.
Hugh Grant is delightfully smarmy as the Wickham-ish Daniel Cleaver. Meanwhile, Colin Firth reprises his most famous role as a modern-day Mr. Darcy, who loves Bridget just the way she is.
Apart from the smoking, and the drinking, and the vulgar mother, and the verbal diarrhea.
No, I like you very much. Just as you are.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Death Comes to Pemberley. Lizzie and Darcy return in this adaptation of a P.D. James novel.
A few hours would be perfect.
Sister?
Mr. Darcy.
Yes.
Not a moment longer. I shouldn't bear it.
You are only human.
From Prada to Nada. Sense and Sensibility gets a modern Latin twist.
Would you stay if you had the choice?
Yes, I would. Where would you go if you had the choice?
Right across the street.
Metropolitan. Whit Stillman pays homage to Mansfield Park.
What's wrong with a novel having a virtuous heroine?
His point is that the novel's premise, that there's something immoral in a group of young people putting on a play, is simply absurd.
You found Fanny Price unlikable?
She sounds pretty unbearable, but I haven't read the book.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Clueless. For many Janeites, Amy Heckerling's masterpiece of a teen rom-com is up there with the best Austen adaptations of all time, and it's difficult not to agree. A retelling of Emma set in Beverly Hills, it captures the essence of the original while also bringing something new and fresh to the table. Alicia Silverstone is perfectly cast as Cher, the clueless, matchmaking rich girl with more to her than meets the eye.
You mean to tell me that you argued your way from a C+ to an A-?
Totally based on my powers of persuasion. You proud?
Honey, I couldn't be happier than if they were based on real grades.
The late Brittany Murphy shines as her protege Ty. And has there ever been a more convincing Mr. Knightley than Paul Rudd's Josh?
I love Josh. I am majorly, totally, but crazy in love with Josh.
From the iconic fashion to the quotable script, there's very little to fault in this 90s classic. Clueless is definitely a Jane Austen update done right. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.